We are now less than 1 month away from regular season NFL football, and that means that every single team in the league is currently undefeated. They are 0-0. No losses, no key injuries. Everyone is full of hope and full of positivity. And today, we are going to be leaning into that positivity by giving one reason why every team in the NFL could win the Super Bowl this year. There are some long shots here. Yes, of course, there are some very bad teams this year, but there are also some more sure things. And also, crazier things have happened in sports history than a long shot winning the Super Bowl. And today, back again, finally, I'm joined by my co-host, Nick Corbs. Nick, are you ready for some positivity today?
I am. As a fan of a team towards the bottom half, it's always good for a reason to look for positivity wherever you can find it. And it's almost been a year since we started Corbs NFL. So if you're a long-time supporter, drop a comment. If you're a new fan, please subscribe. Road to 2,000, road to 5,000 maybe even, Dom.
Exactly. We had our first birthday not that long ago. And if you're a new listener, most of you watching are new listeners or new viewers, then do subscribe for more NFL content. We churn out the best in the business, I think, over here this side of the pond. Leave a like, leave a comment. It's always much appreciated. We read them all. So we're going to be starting in reverse Super Bowl order, basically. So we're going to start with predicted to be the worst team, and then with what is predicted to be the Super Bowl favorite, at least at the time of recording. So yes, we are going to be starting with the long shot. A lot of things need to go right for these teams, but nevertheless, positivity is the name of the game today. And I'm going to kick us off, starting with the New Orleans Saints, who are currently slated to have the first overall pick come April, predicted to be the worst team in the NFL this year. And they can win the Super Bowl. And look, don't get me wrong, you've got to use your imagination here. But they can win the Super Bowl if the offensive line and Tyler Shook are as good as they potentially could be. I even struggle to say potentially there. Realistically, I think with the Saints is they have a good offensive line, and Tyler Shook could be potentially better than I think. The offensive line, you got Tadisi Fwanga, one of the tackle spots. He's an exciting young tackle. Pancakes littered his tape last year. You've got then Banks, the draft pick from this year, the other tackle spot. And then you've got one of Shook or Rattler who could be better than most people think. I don't think that Shook is going to take this team to the Super Bowl, I must admit. But if he hits the extreme high end, like the best rookie season of all time from a quarterback, then maybe. That's all I can come up with for the Saints.
Dom, mine is, I sort of just rejected the premise entirely for the first one. I just said there's no reason. I said they've got Chris Olave, who's one concussion away from retirement, Tyler Shook or Spencer Rattler at quarterback, aging defense, and rookie head coach. I think they could have a good year, but I genuinely, in no foreseeable scenario, do I see them winning the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, Saints fans. I literally couldn't find a reason for you.
Yeah, this team is not good. This team is not good. Your only hope is your 1 in a million of Shook basically becoming Patrick Mahomes and you going on a Linsanity run. Is basically the only thing I can predict for the Saints. Moving on to the Browns, now you give us your reason for the Browns.
So I've got the Shador Sanders that I saw on tape coming out and taking the Browns to the Super Bowl. I was slightly higher on Shador Sanders than most, and I'm still going to stand by my take until I see him play in a game. So because of that, I'm saying that this 5th round steal is going to take this factory of sadness in Cleveland all the way to the big time.
I mean, I can't say I'm far away. Mine is one of the 6 quarterbacks currently on the Browns roster.
They got Tyler Huntley, didn't they?
Yeah. One of those 6. It's one of Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Shador Sanders, Kenny Pickett, Tyler Huntley, and Deshaun Watson. One of those 6 somewhat effectively operating Kevin Stefanski's offensive system well enough to make the offense look remotely competent, and the defense can kind of just do the rest of the work. Last year, the Browns' offense were 32nd in third down conversions per game. They simply couldn't stay on the field. Their defense can't do anything if it's always on the field, always tired, always playing from behind. You can't get the most out of Myles Garrett. They've got great defensive players. Obviously, Myles Garrett, in my opinion, one of the best players in the league, comfortably the best defensive player in my mind. You've got Mason Graham, the first-round draft pick this year on the interior. You've got Denzel Ward. But the offense needs to do something. If it does, then the Browns' defense, defense wins championships. The defense could carry them all the way, but they are going to need that offense to genuinely just look semi-competent. And I trust Stefanski's system. Not sure I trust him as a head coach that much anymore, but one of those 6 surely has to be able to do something offensively, right? I don't think it's going to be Shador Sanders, for what it's worth. I think it most likely will be Dylan Gabriel or Joe Flacco, but we'll see. The Titans, then. I've said for the Titans that their best hope of winning the Super Bowl is that Cam Ward immediately becomes the quarterback that I could eventually see him coming. potentially, right? I think he has the arm talent. He can make plays in and out of structure. He can put the team on his back and win you games. And I think it might take him a while to reach that point, but I think that's definitely in his range of outcomes, much more so than Tyler Shook or Shedeur Sanders for me. He was my QB1. And if that happens immediately, then the Titans, honestly, will definitely be a lot better than people are expecting them to be. I don't think they'll be picking third overall, let's say. Super Bowl, yeah, it might still be a bit of a reach, but I do think that Cam Ward is the top 10 potential quarterback mold kind of guy in my mind. Yes, he can, often put you in a hole by throwing a really bad interception, but he can also dig you out of a hole that either he puts you in or maybe the defense does, who knows. But he can do that. He has that talent. They're in a weaker AFC South. They could get a potentially favourable playoff matchup if they win that division. And really, it just boils down to Cam Ward, I think, being a good quarterback. And if he can hit the ground running and realise that potential immediately rather than in a year or 2 years' time, the Titans have a shot to be, if you squint, maybe the Super Bowl is still a bit rich for the Titans, but definitely better than people think.
Yeah, no, I said if the rest of the NFL turns into a group of 5 school. I think that's the only way the Tennessee Titans can. You saw how Cam Ward balled out at Miami and at Washington State against lower-level competition. If the NFL suddenly became that level of competition, I think the Tennessee Titans could make it. But I do agree. I think they do actually have a lot of potential this year. They splashed out free agency a lot last year, and I think they are all. I think getting a 7-10 maybe record. But for me, Super Bowl's still a massive long shot.
I like that one. That was a good one. That's creative. I rate that one. You kick us off with your New York Giants.
So my New York Giants, this was a hard one, but I just said if Russell Wilson turns back to Seattle form, you've got Malik Neighbors. The defense is looking elite at the moment. I think it's one of the best pass rushers in football. The biggest question is the quarterback position. Obviously spent a lot of draft capital on Jackson Dart and got Tommy DeVito and Jameis Winston. And the comments on Instagram are hilarious. They're like, "Oh, this quarterback will be unstoppable on their day." Believable offense.
These guys are heard of.
Yeah, these guys are heard of. All it comes down to is how far can the QB take them. Similar with actually a lot of these bottom half teams. But Russell Wilson has shown flashes, so hopefully he can keep that up for the year.
Yeah, I went for a similar vein here. I've kind of combined 2 and 1 for the Giants. I've said my primary reason why the Giants can win the Super Bowl is if Russ is good enough to not go 1-4 out the gate with a very hard start to the season and then get benched the Jackson Dart. Because as soon as Jackson Dart comes in, I think the season is over and Super Bowl hopes are long gone if they're not already anyway. Because really what it boils down to is the defensive line in New York is maybe the best in the NFL. They've got Dexter Lawrence, definitely the best nose tackle in the league currently. He's so dominant against the run and the pass. Brian Burns, a great edge rusher, speed off the edge. You then added Abdul Carter, right? Brian Burns, souped up. He could potentially be like a Micah Parsons kind of player. Crazy talent, unbelievable athlete, massive upside. And then you've also got Darius Alexander as a pass rusher up the middle as well at the defensive tackle position next to Dexter Lawrence. I think that defensive line could be unblockable on its day. They've also got Deonte Banks as a young corner, Drew Phillips in the slot, Javon Holland, Tyler Nubin at safety. It's a really exciting defense. It just needs the offense, a bit like the Browns, to do enough whereby they are allowed to shine and they're not kneecapped because they're playing 2 scores down every time and the offense is never on the field because they can never get off the field on 3rd down. So it's getting a bit more potential here to make the Super Bowl. I think with every team it gets a little bit more likely, but I still think the Giants are quite a long way off. Moving to the very local New York Jets team, obviously they share the stadium at MetLife, so it's same house. What I've said for this is that if Justin Fields rediscovers his ability to pass, then I think the Jets have a shot, right? He was, at Ohio State, a fantastic passer. Strong arm, accurate all 3 levels of the field. He became a totally different style of quarterback in the NFL. Yeah, he was always a good dual threat. He always was a good athlete, but he was never a 1,000-yard quarterback rushing talent, which he was in Chicago in 2021, I think it was. And look, the rushing threat that Fields brings you offensively is good enough for 6 wins as a team, I think, right? It does really raise the floor of your offense, but your ceiling is capped by how good you are as a passer. And really, that is the question mark around Justin Fields, is can he actually hit water if he fell out a boat at the quarterback position? The offensive line is looking good. The defense should positively regress. They've got Garrett Wilson on offense. It's kind of all there. He just has to be able to hit about 20 passes a game, semi-accurately, and the Jets should be a lot better than people think.
My one is just new ownership. Stop using Madden to trade your players. Stop using Madden evaluation. I think the New York Jets front office is the thing that's been holding the Jets back for years. They've always had good teams and good coaches. but I feel like it is the front office that's holding them back. But you're right, on the field, Justin Fields, he's elite with his legs, but can he improve enough? Can he give you that deep ball against Alabama in the college football playoff? Can he have those highlights that saw him be a first-round pick, a top 10 overall pick? And can he bring your offense forward?
Exactly. I like that.
Number 6, Carolina Panthers. For them, I've got an underrated receiver core. That's going to take them to the next step. I think they built their team quite well. I think I really like the head coach.
Dave
Canales, sorry. They built their team really well from the inside out. They invested loads of money in the interior offensive line and the offensive line. Bryce Young took a big step, and now they've got the flash pieces. It's almost like the opposite of the Bengals. So I think a well-built team and a new flashy wide receiver core can power Carolina in a weak division to the Super Bowl.
I do love Ted McMillan, and I do love his potential in this offense 100%. I think that's a great shout. I've actually gone for Bryce Young looking even better than he did in the second half of last year. From week 9 onwards, Bryce Young was absolutely cooking. He was playing with more confidence, throwing with timing, rhythm, and anticipation. In the final 7 weeks of the season, he had 21 big-time throws. He looked like a genuine NFL quarterback. He looked like the Bama version of Bryce Young, creating out of structure, making the throws that he needs to make. That's why he was taken first overall, because that was the kind of talent that he possessed. Now, obviously, the first half of the season started so badly that everyone's kind of got PTSD, and even I'm worried that he's going to revert back to the pumpkin version of Bryce Young. But as you say, the offense is looking good. The defense is still bad, but it's going to be Bryce Young with Ted McMillan, with a good wide receiver core, with good run blocking, with Chuba Hubbard in a weaker NFC South. I can genuinely see a world whereby the Panthers actually could compete for winning the NFC South. And then at that point, you're in the playoffs, and all you got to do is win, 3 games to make it to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl. So Panthers, I think, where now it starts, for me at least, to get quite significantly more possible. Still a long shot, but we're definitely kind of in that next tier in my mind. The Indianapolis Colts are the next team on the list now, and what have you got for them?
I've got my boy Danny Dimes taking them to the Super Bowl. I will never give up on him. I feel like he was wronged in New York. Now he's got a real chance to shine with real coaching. I think he's going to win the QB1 spot from Anthony Richardson. They already said in preseason that they're halving the first team reps. And I think Danny Dimes with a good team already won the Giants a playoff game. I think the Colts are a much better team than that 2022 Giants. So I think Danny Dimes is taking the Colts back to the promised land.
For what it's worth, I actually agree with you. I do think that Daniel Jones could have a Sam Darnold-esque kind of resurgence in Indianapolis if he's given the chance to start. Because the weapons are elite. Yeah, they have A.D. Mitchell. He could be really good as a Z receiver. He showed promise, didn't put it together at all last year. He was so hot, so cold. But he's got loads of potential. You've got Tyler Warren as the Brock Bowers-esque receiving threat at the tight end position. You've got Michael Pittman, the wide receiver 1.5. You've got Josh Downs, the shifty spark plug receiver. You've got the good offensive line. You've got the good run game in Jonathan Taylor. You've got it all, really. It's the quarterback that's missing. So I do like your Daniel Jones shout. However, I got some bad news for you. Today, Anthony Richardson was announced as the starter.
Oh no, did I just miss that today?
No, but what I would say is that I still think that what you said is actually relevant, because I do think there's a world whereby, in a very real world, whereby Anthony Richardson gets benched after week 5. The Colts don't have the time to let the guy develop anymore. The offense is ready to compete. The defense is there. It's a weaker AFC South. Like they can't have another wasted year. The current coaching regime and Chris Ballard don't have the time. They're in the hot seat. They need to win. So I can definitely see a world where Daniel Jones replaces Richardson and the offense looks better. What I've said kind of links to it is if Anthony Richardson is able to accurately throw a slant, because he can already hit a 65-yard deep ball with the flick of his wrist to Alec Pierce. He can already score from anywhere on the field as a rushing threat. Like the high level to his game is absolutely there. It's just the low level stuff, and unfortunately, it's built like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The lower bottom of the pyramid is 90% of the throws you have to make in the NFL. They are the slants, the hitches, the 5-yard ins, the 5-yard outs. Like, that's what you need to be able to hit accurately to keep your offense on time and stay ahead of the chains. And Richardson can't do that. Daniel Jones can. He can't do more than that, Daniel Jones. It's kind of the reverse. He can't do any more than that, but he can do that. And Richardson last year was painfully inaccurate. He had the lowest on-target passing percentage of 58%. That was the lowest by 10%. Basically, half of his throws were him being inaccurate. And that is accounted for drops and things like that. That is purely on the accuracy. And like I said, if Richardson can hit a slant, this offense is humming. If not, it's Daniel Jones' season, and me and you will be stood there waiting for that to happen, I think. Because I think I'm with you there 100%. The Raiders.
Okay, so I blame Paddy for not giving me up to date. Our producer not giving me up to date.
It was Paddy. Our producer Paddy didn't tell me in the studio.
For the Raiders, I think it was competent front office. That Geno Smith trade really shocked me, and has really grown on me over time as well. I really think with a competent quarterback and with a new head coach in Pete Carroll, I think the Raiders can actually make some waves for once. Even though I do admit I think it's a tough division, but I think with a competent quarterback for the first time in probably since Derek Carr, probably before then even like 2015, 2016, I think the Raiders can really make waves in the AFC.
Yeah, I think the Las Vegas Raiders can make the playoffs. Forget that. I think the Las Vegas Raiders can win the Super Bowl if this offense comes together like I think it will. Geno Smith, in my mind, is a top 10 quarterback. I think he's underrated. I think he's got the arm talent, the ball placement, the pocket movement. He's got it all, in my mind, to be a really underrated, a genuinely great quarterback, I think. You've then got Ashton Genty, best running back talent since Bijan Robinson, if not more than that. He is such a huge upgrade to what was an abysmal run game last year in Las Vegas. He's behind a good offensive line. They've moved JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson?
Yeah.
Jack Powers Johnson. Powers Johnson has now moved to center, so that's going to be a big upgrade. And they've got really good pass catchers. They've got Brock Bowers as essentially a wide receiver, right? Yes, he's a tight end, but he's not really. Jack Besh in the draft, we loved him. Jacoby Myers, very underrated, 1,000-yard receiver last year. It has it all. This offense has it all, genuinely. Yes, they've got a Christian Wilkins-sized hole, which they're trying to address now. The defense might not be as good as the offense is. But look, the offense can carry you so far. And I think the Raiders have a really good shot with the offense they currently have on paper. I honestly really like their chances. The Jags. I'm going to start with this one, Noob.
Do you want to start?
I'm going to start with the Jags. And it's going to be Trevor Lawrence finally putting it together is the best shot of them making it to the Super Bowl. It's basically, can Trevor Lawrence be better than just an okay quarterback? Like, it's hard to win a Super Bowl, and there's going to be a lot of recurring themes, right? It's going to be quarterbacks playing well, and that's because to win a Super Bowl, you need to have a quarterback playing well. Really, in recent years, the only one you can point to is Nick Foles, or maybe Joe Flacco before then, but the rest of the team is elite, so you kind of have, your quarterback needs to be really good. And Trevor Lawrence just has not really lived up to the first overall pick college hype, I don't think. Like, he's just always been a clearly, like, good, fine, okay quarterback, and I've always been very vocal and defended him. But when you watch the tape, you're really not seeing much X factor, you're not seeing much zip, you're not seeing much, like, wow. And it's quite jarring, actually. He's now got Brian Thomas Jr., who's an elite wide receiver. Yes, Lawrence missed most of the time last year because of that head injury, so he wasn't really playing with him. They now have Travis Hunter as well. They've now got Liam Cohen. They've got it all now for Trevor to actually take that next step and become a better quarterback.
Yeah, I agree, but I think for me, it's Travis Hunter proving me wrong. I think if he can truly be a wide receiver 1A and a CB1, I think that revolutionizes the Jacksonville Jaguars. I agree with Trevor Lawrence, he needs to make that step up, but I think I see enough from him that with a consistent head coach, he got Urban Meyer in his rookie year, and then he had got Doug Peterson. Like, I think he now has a chance to really grow with a new head coach, with a new team, and really take the next step and make a deep playoff run with the Jags.
Yeah, exactly. And I want that from Trevor. I do. I want that from Trevor. The Miami Dolphins. You start us off here.
I've got mandatory Guardian caps. I think if Tua gets one more concussion, his career is over. Or I think he could have retired last year, and I think all NFL fans would have been okay with it. But he really is the keys to this offense. He's a sorry, I had a bit of a blank there. He's able to make the right throws on the right times in quite a complicated system. Tyreek Hill the other day even said that he doesn't even understand what the Dolphins are doing half the time. I think it's so hard to get a consistent quarterback. That Tua is. And if he gets one more concussion, that's his career over. And I'm not even sure. I think it's Quinn Ewers, I'm pretty sure is their backup. Quinn Ewers and
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson, yes. So you want Tua to stay healthy because you do not want Zach Wilson running your offense.
No, you don't. I'm not going to go too high on the potential redemption arcs there at all. Mine is related to the offense as well. Mine is that the Dolphins could make the Super Bowl if the offensive change-up means they can actually beat good defenses. Really, for the last 3 years, the Dolphins' offense has been predicated on speed, and overly so. I think it's kind of getting exposed now. It took the league by storm. They put up 50 points on the Broncos, but they've never really been able to beat actually good defenses. And Tyreek Hill pointed it out as well. He said that, I don't know why Devon Achane is on the field at 3rd and 1. Like, he's not a power back. Yeah, he's got the speed. And really, the Dolphins struggled in those, 3rd and short situations and in the red zone. They had a red zone scoring percentage below league average. You can't be a Super Bowl team if you're scoring at below league average in the red zone. Like, you just can't leave points on the board like that. And they've got Ollie Gordon now, who had a bit of a but had a very underwhelming college season last year. But he's 6'1.5", 225 pounds. That's 95th percentile and 86th percentile, respectively. He's a big running back. He'll be the goal line back. He'll be the short yardage back. He's the power back. They've signed Nick Westbrook-Akine, who isn't going to change your offense entirely overnight, but he's at least a step in the right direction in regards to bigger, stronger, taller. And they've still got Tyreek Hill, they've still got Jalen Waddle. There's a strong offensive system there, regardless of the over predication on speed. It just needs its haymaker. It needs, or rather, almost it needs a jab to its haymaker, right? The speed is just too one-dimensional. It needs that extra dimension. The added weight, the added physicality and strength will hopefully be that. The New England Patriots. I'm going to start with this one because I'm really high on the damn Patriots. I said for the Raiders that they could make the Super Bowl if their offense comes together. The New England Patriots could make the Super Bowl if their team comes together like I think it will. The Super Bowl for the Patriots is genuinely on the cards, I think. High end, but it's genuinely on the cards. Drake may break out this year, right? We saw massive flashes from him last year. He was able to make plays out of structure with a terrible wide receiver room, terrible coaching, terrible offensive line. It was one of the worst quarterback situations for a rookie we've ever seen in recent years. And he was able to shine. Despite that, they've got a new coaching regime now. The old one was fired after just 1 year. Mike Vrabel brings a floor defensively. McDaniels brings a floor offensively. They've got Stephon Diggs, who might take a step back this year, but they've got Kyle Williams, my wide receiver 4 in the draft. He could be the potential wide receiver 1 there. Great after the catch, great with the ball in his hands. The offensive line added Will Campbell, Jared Wilson, Garrett Bradbury, Morgan Moses. You can argue about the potential ceiling of the offensive line there, but the floor is so much higher, and that's what offensive line is really all about. They've got Travion Henderson, one of the most electric running backs in college football from last year. He can score at any time, in the air or on the ground. The defense added Milton Williams, Christian Barmore is back healthy, Christian Gonzalez is back healthy, Keon White could have a breakout. There's just so many things about this Patriots team, which I think means it's going to be entirely different from last year. It's a long shot, yes, but I genuinely think a Super Bowl is actually possible for this team for the first time.
Yeah, I don't think I've got anything more to add. I think you summed it up perfectly. I think Drake May, the rookie year that he had with the situation he was in was amazing. Well, last year when we were talking about it, you were like, he should be benched the whole year because you're just going to ruin his development. I even believe he was a Pro Bowl alternate at the end of the year. What if you put any weight on the Pro Bowl? But it still shows like the adversity he was able to overcome, and with a better team, I really like this Patriots team, and I really like Drake May.
Yeah, I love Drake May, man. I absolutely love Drake May. The Atlanta Falcons, you start.
So the Atlanta Falcons, I said if they play like they do in fantasy football, you know that if you've got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Dom, I'm telling you, Kyle Pitts is going to have a breakout year. Believe the hype.
The propaganda.
Draft him first round, I'm telling you. But these players always win you your fantasy league, always win you your weekly matchups. Yet the Falcons always go 8-8. It's as simple. Just when the defense just needs to catch up with the offense. The offense is going to score points, going to put up points with Bijan, with London, with Pitts, with maybe Michael Penix taking the reins. But it's the defense that consistently lets them down. So they just need to keep up their defense with that high-powered fantasy offense.
Yeah, I've mentioned the defense in mine. I do like yours there. I said that they could win the Super Bowl if Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. are as good as people think in regards to Jalen Walker and as good as I think regarding James Pierce Jr. The Falcons last year were 31st in sack percentage. You cannot win games if you are not pressuring the opposing quarterback. James Pierce Jr. was my 12th ranked player. I think he brings juice and explosiveness and quicks and punches above his weight in the pass game and the run game. Jalen Walker was my 38th overall player. I didn't quite see it with him as much as other people did, but nevertheless, he's a great athlete. He's versatile. He's a high ceiling guy. The offense, as you say, has a talent. Bijan Robinson, Drake London. I'm not going to say carpets. The propaganda is not going to work on me. But the defense really just needs to uphold its side of the bargain. And the Falcons, again, in a weaker NFC South, could go the way. The Seahawks, I'll start with the Seahawks. And my reason for them making the Super Bowl would be if they prove me wrong. I have questioned the Sam Darnold move. I think it is a downgrade at quarterback, and I've also questioned the wide receiver moves because they've gone from DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith and Jigba to Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Now, the counter to those points is that Darnold is a better fit for the Clint Kubiak system, who is their new offensive coordinator, so I'm ready to concede a sideways move at quarterback. And Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp are much better at the kind of Shanahan route tree that Kubiak wants to run, right? He wants to run heavy play action, deep crosses. DK Metcalf is a vertical threat receiver. So I can see all that, right? But I don't trust the O-line. The system which Ryan Grubb ran last year didn't help it at all. So basically, I'm not that high on the Seahawks this year. I have too many questions. But if they prove my questions wrong, or rather answer my questions, then they could definitely be a very good team.
You know, I think you put it well, because I think even though they're 13th here on Tankathon's draft odds, I still think they've got worse chance than some of the teams in the top 10, even the top 5. And they're really in no man's land, halfway house between rebuilding and pushing. Their offensive moves didn't really make sense to me. It felt like very disjointed between what the coaches want, what the front office want, what the owner wanted maybe. So I agree with you. I'm not super high on the Seahawks, but yeah, I'll take your one then. I'll take it if they all put it together. They prove you wrong. Because I don't
definitely
know.
could. I think the floor of the Seahawks is very high, but I just question the ceiling. So it's about can they reach their ceiling, really. The Arizona Cardinals.
The Arizona Cardinals, I think just a healthy offense. I think Kyler Murray, double XP weekend on COD. If he's just focused...
Stop it.
I know.
I'm not having that. I'm not having my platform buy into that propaganda. I'm not having that. I made a whole video saying about how he's underrated because NFL meme pages have got blood on their hands and have infected the mind of the youth. I'm not letting you devolve into that.
That was S-tier rage bait, Dom, when you fell for it. But honestly, Marvin Harrison Jr., if he can take the step forward that I saw from him in college, he was my out-and-out wide receiver one. I'm not sure about you, but the difference between him and Malik Neighbors last year was pretty vast, actually. I thought he had a really disappointing year from what I was expecting from him. And I think he has the talent and the ability to be a top 5 receiver in the NFL. And that could really take the Cardinals offense to the next level and maybe potentially to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, mine is very similar. Mine is if the Arizona Cardinals can actually play consistently, they could go to the Super Bowl. Kyler Murray, I think, is a talented quarterback. Marvin Harrison Jr., talented wide receiver. Trey Benson, James Conner, talented running backs. Trey McBride, very talented tight end. They have a good offensive line. The defense should be better this year with the acquisitions they've made this offseason. It really is about Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. getting on the same page. Because if you're going to win football games, you need your best players to step up and play as well as they possibly can. And for my money, those two are their best players. It took James Conner stepping up last year for the Cardinals to be anywhere near competent and competitive. So it just means that I think Kyler needs to stop playing within himself, consistently string together really good performances. And the Cardinals, I think, are a bit of a slept-on dark horse team at this point, if they can do so. But it's an if they can. Moving on to what I think is maybe the most jarring team, the most depressing team in the league right now, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. I cannot work them out, and I really struggle to find them a Super Bowl reason. But what's yours, Nick?
Mine was trading Micah Parsons. And I'm not just saying
Micah Parsons.
I'm not just saying that because I'm a Giants fan. I want the Cowboys to be terrible forever. But I think they can't invest like similar to the Bengals, they can't invest that amount of money into only 3 players. 3 players can't win you a Super Bowl. And although those 3 players are very good, I think Micah Parsons is one of the best in his position. CeeDee Lamb, one of the best. And Dak, depends what version of him you get. But those 3 players are not enough to take you to the promised land. And one of them has to go. And Mike is the one. He's already demanded a trade. You can get 3 first-round picks out of him and really go in a different direction and rebuild this team. Because I think if you pay Micah, I think you can get to even an NFC Championship game. But I just don't think you're ever going to get over the hump. And this is his trade value is going to be an all-time high. I think it's time to pull the trigger.
See, the problem is that you can't rebuild when you've got the money tied up in your quarterback and your wide receiver that the Cowboys do. Like, they've already committed to going all in. They have to sign Micah Parsons. Dak, I think, is a good enough quarterback. He is, at the moment, like, per average, like, the most paid player in the league. Obviously, that changes when other people are paid or whatever. And CeeDee Lamb is a really good receiver, and that is helped by George Pickens as well. The offense, could be good to go there. I think the defense, you can't let Micah Parsons go because you can't rebuild when you have that much money tied up in your quarterback and your wide receiver. It's just not financially feasible, really, to do that. So I think they need to sign Micah Parsons. I think that defensively, you get one of the best players in the league, 100%. You want your... the problem is, though, is that he's not currently training at training camp, and you want your star player to be signed and training because when they start playing football, that's when they can get injured, is if they don't train at all over training camp, they're not in football shape. And it just kind of, this whole issue with Parsons is a massive issue for the team. It's distracting. You don't want your best player pound for pound, one of your top 3 players, which the team is going to be built only around, to not be there. He's 1/3 of the team. Like, he's got to be signed. He's got to be training. He's got to be there. If the Cowboys want to win a Super Bowl, which honestly I almost feel that the Cowboys are on a level with like the Titans for their odds at the Super Bowl. Yes, the Cowboys might make the playoffs, but I just feel like they're so far away from being anywhere near remotely competitive enough for a Super Bowl. But yeah, their team's going to be built on 3 players: Dak, CD, and Parsons. Sign Parsons. Just get it done. Sign Parsons. And you're coming at it from a different angle there, Nu, but I think it revolves around Parsons nevertheless.
That's fair. Steelers?
Steelers, take it away.
No, don't be with us when we go 8-8. Oh no, I messed up the line. Oh, no.
redo. Go.
Redo. Okay, Paddy's gonna edit that out.
He's not gonna edit that. We're gonna keep that in.
What's it? If you support us when we're 8 and 9, don't leave us when we're 9 and 8. I've still messed it up, but you know what I'm trying to say.
we get the premise.
You get the premise. Horrific take from me. But the Steelers, I'm just saying, if Aaron Rodgers stops being an absolute freak, is the only way I can think about it. But this team just screams mid. I don't see where this team is going. Sign a 41-year-old crackhead who I absolutely hate, who's not going to do anything. I don't know. I don't like the Steelers at all, and I don't like their chances either. But yeah, sure.
Okay, recently, I called TJ Watt overrated, and I really got it in the neck from Steelers fans. So you're not doing us any favour here. Mine is the same to a degree. I've said I need Aaron Rodgers to stop being a weirdo off the field and just give it one last ride. Like, the defense is elite. They just need the offense to stay on the field and put up points. And the run game is going to be sorted with Arthur Smith, who I think, for all his flaws, can make a good run game. Caleb Johnson's a great fit there. That's going to be fine. It's the pass game. It needs Rodgers to be on it, because it's only really him and DK Metcalf, because after that it's Robert Woods, Calvin Austin, and Roman Wilson. Doesn't really move me. So this is we all know it. This is Rodgers' last chance corral. You've got to bottle up some old school A-Rod magic. Let Mike Tomlin keep a lid on it off the field and do what he does best, which is work with some insanely tricky personalities and just make an on-field product that is good and fun to watch. And when the Steelers are back to their old ways, I think the league is better. So yeah, it's bottling up old Steelers magic and pairing it with old Rodgers magic and hoping that it doesn't blow up in your face. Really, the Chicago Bears. No, I'm going to start, and it's Caleb Williams. It is Caleb Williams. I think is the only answer. I don't know what you'll give, but you'll give yours in a second. But Caleb Williams is definitely mine. They have the coaching. Ben Johnson, best offensive coordinator in the league the last 2 years with a bullet. They've got a great offensive line, a whole new left guard, center, right guard. The interior is completely new, much improved. Weapons, got DJ Moore, already had Roma Dunze. They've now added Colston Loveland. Can't fault that at all. A fantastic trio on paper. I'm not buying the preseason propaganda that Caleb is bad. Yes, I've seen the videos of him missing the throws against the net. Yes, I've seen clips of him struggling at family day or whatever it's called in Chicago. I am a little bit worried, though, I'm not going to lie. It's kind of creeping into the back of my mind. But he has the talent. He has the talent around him. It's on him. He needs to pull up the rest of the team now.
Yeah, Don, well, I'm going to go for... Last year, I was hyping the Bears up. They were my preseason hype train, and I'm going to stick with it. I think the Chicago Bears are going to the Super Bowl. That is my early preseason hot take. They've got the best head coach. They've got the best coordinator in the league who's now going to be a head coach. I think they've got a stacked receiver core. I thought they had a strong draft. And I thought Caleb Williams definitely showed enough. I thought he was hindered by terrible coaching last year. I remember there was one point... when was that the HB toss when it was like 4th and 2?
Yeah, I know.
Yes, it was the coaching that was holding them back. I think this team has the talent, has the ability, has the potential, and maybe all Caleb Williams has to do is throw for 4,000 yards, which has never been done before in Chicago Bears history, which is actually insane. But I think Caleb Williams can take the Bears to the promised land, and I love what they've done with the team.
Okay, now you're ready to get burnt all over again. You're ready to get hurt. That's okay. I'm with you. I'm with you on the Bears. Let's pick it up. Their NFC North rival now in the Minnesota Vikings. What I've put for the Vikings is they've got everything, barring JJ McCarthy. Just let McCarthy be a system quarterback. Let him be the passenger. And just everything else is good enough. Like the weapons, Justin Jefferson, best wide receiver in the league. Jordan Addison, yes, he's missing the first 4 weeks of the season. He's still really good when he's on the field and healthy. TJ Hawkinson, great tight end. Offensive line was good last year, was bolstered even more this offseason. That's fine. The coaching, Kevin O'Connell, in my mind, is a top 5 head coach in the league. One of the best offensive-minded head coach we've got. Defense, Brian Flores has that thing ticking every single season. If the cornerbacks are even better this year, which I think they could be, we could see oh my God, what's his name? The cornerback for the Lions who was drafted 3rd overall, who's been a bust. Jeff Okudah. We could see a Jeff Okudah revival. That's what I think. It's all there. It is all there. It just needs McCarthy to not get in the way and make the necessary throws. And we can worry about his development later. What's best for his development is winning a Super Bowl now. So get it done.
Yeah, I think JJ McCarthy, obviously no one's ever lucky to tear the ACL, but I think the pressure's off of him. This is his rookie year, but no one's really talking about him like it. But I think because of that, people are also expecting him to be good, not expecting when September comes around. It's his first NFL start, his first NFL snaps, really. He tore his ACL almost, a year ago today, tore in the preseason. So I agree. I think JJ McCarthy, as long as he's an okay game manager, like a Tua, like a Bryce Young, I think the Vikings can go pretty far.
Yeah, nice. I agree. My Texans, I'm going to start with my Texans because they are my team. We could win the Super Bowl if our offensive line is not the worst offensive line in the league. Yeah. We allowed the most sacks last year at 40. 4/5 of our offensive line were not good last year, and we traded away the 1/5 that was good in Laramie Tunsil. If our offensive line is simply just average, which I would be so grateful for, then I think we have the quarterback in CJ Stroud. We have the wide receivers in Jaden Higgins, Nico Collins, and Jalen Knoll. We have the defense to make a serious push. It could all literally hinge on the offensive line. If that is bad, which I fear it could be, we're cooked. If it's not that bad, we are cooking.
Yeah, I completely agree. I didn't think you had a good draft at all. I didn't think you addressed the.
We drafted my wide receiver 3 and my wide receiver 5. I did an amazing draft.
Yeah, I know, but you're putting a spoiler on a Fiat 500. I don't think you're really addressing the core issues of your team. I agree. I think as long as your offensive line isn't bottom 5, I think you've got a really good chance. But again, I don't see how that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a scary prospect going into the season with the worst offensive line in the league.
Yeah.
But we'll move on to what is definitely not the case with the Denver Broncos. I think at this point it switches to they could win the Super Bowl because, not if. These are teams that I think genuinely now have a pretty decent shot of winning the Super Bowl. So why do you think the Broncos will win the Super Bowl?
It's their elite defense. They're the best defense in football with the Defensive Player of the Year. Not Patrick Surtain, sorry.
Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, so I think I'm making Fitzpatrick for a reason. I don't know why. The only issue is Bo Nix. Is he going to have, a sort of CJ Stroud style second year regression, if you want to call it that? Or is he going to push on even more? I don't really know. I was never really high on Bo Nix, and I still think I'm a hater. But I don't really know why. But I think they've got an elite defense, and I think Bo Nix is good enough to be, an Eli Manning, a Joe Flacco, and Nick Foles. He can be a passenger on a great defense in the driver's seat.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I like that. That's not a knock on Bo Nix at all. But at the moment, he's not the type of quarterback that will be a Patrick Mahomes and put the team on your back and take it to Super Bowl, or a Cam Newton, for example. I've said the same. I've said that they have an elite defense, top to bottom, which has improved this offseason as well. And they've also got an elite offensive line. They've added defensively Tanlo Ofunga, Dre Greenlaw, and Jahdae Barron. You're going to need to be 3 deep at wide receiver to separate against the Broncos secondary. They've got a really good pass rush. It's all there. Defenses win championships. That will be the reason why they make it as far as they do. But I also think offensively, the system is king, right? Sean Payton's offensive system is what keeps that offense ticking. But it's built on the second best, in my mind, offensive line in the league behind only the Eagles. Nix can take a step there, absolutely. But it doesn't need him to. Again, it just needs efficient, good, clean football. And look, they are an outsider, don't get me wrong, in terms of the really big teams, but I think they are a definite Super Bowl contender. So a lot to be excited for this season for the Broncos. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers,
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they can win the Super Bowl because of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
I just said that simple. The point of the poster.
Baker.
He's the reason why, Dom, you got into American football in the first place. He's one of my favourite ever players, and I will always keep pounding the table for him. Whoever Baker plays for, as long as it's not the Steelers, I will support. And
yeah, I love Baker Mayfield. You know what's crazy? I completely forgot about this. Is that Baker Mayfield played in arguably the best college football game of all time when Oklahoma took on Texas Tech. Patrick Mahomes. They combined for like 900 total yards. The
No,
quarterbacks. Like,
I think Patrick Mahomes threw for like 600 and lost.
yeah. He threw like 57. It's like the stats are absolutely wild. I might try and get them up later while we're talking about them. But like that, if you get that version of Baker Mayfield, the one that's like grabbing grabbing his crotch on the sideline, and he's souped up, and he gets hit with the Browns, and then all his team comes in, he's getting them out of the way and going, no, like getting back on the field. He's headbutting players without his helmet on. He's leading the Rams to a win while being with the team for 24 hours. Like that is what Baker Mayfield gives you. Yes, he has been far more consistent recently, and that's why he's been a good NFL quarterback, because he's not making those like classic Baker boneheaded throws. The team is really strong around him. If he can become that kind of quarterback, like he's got so much aura, man. I love Baker.
I love him.
But if he can really channel that to like on-field performance and just like put it together for a string of enough in the regular season to make it to the playoffs, and then if he can just string together 4 or 5 games of magic, you got it. And then it's Baker Mayfield, Super Bowl winner, and I am vindicated, and I will go to Tampa Bay for the procession, for the parade.
This procession works as well.
So after some technical difficulties, we're on to the Los Angeles Chargers now. And why do you think this team can make the Super Bowl?
The run game, Dom. Hard-nosed run game. I love the Omar and Hampton pick. Even Najee Harris I'm not super high on. And Jim Harbaugh's run game is going to take this team to the Super Bowl. Justin Herbert has obviously had his playoff struggles well documented. I believe he's 1-3 in playoff games. Take the pressure off of him, put it on the run game. It worked for the Ravens in the playoffs. Didn't bother with success. And I believe it can work very well for the Chargers.
See, mine's kind of almost the exact opposite. I've said to unleash Justin Herbert. I agree with what you said, obviously, about the run game. Like, the offense is built on the run game. You've got Greg Roman, you've got Jim Harbaugh. They love it. Brought in Amari and Hampton. They got Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt. Like, it brings a floor. Run game kind of sets the floor of an offense, I think. But really, the defense is also looking really good. They were quietly 5th in defensive EPA per play last year. Jesse Minter has that unit cooking. I'm worried, though, about what I said earlier. That the floor is set by the run game and the ceiling is almost set by the passing game. And I fear that the Chargers, whilst they're very strong, they'll inevitably make the playoffs, I think. How far they can go in the playoffs will be up to Justin Herbert. And I'm worried that they will not give the keys to the offense over to him early enough if they're like behind and they're just going to keep going back to the run game. And I think Justin Herbert, in my mind, is a top 5 quarterback. He's number 5, but he is top 5. And I know that's controversial these days, but
I agree.
The way I see it, a bit like the metaphor you were using earlier, is they've got Justin Herbert, they've got a Lambo in the garage. Take that out for a spin every now and then. Let Justin Herbert go wild and let him unleash it. Yes, he's the king of what ifs, buts, and maybes, and hasn't had much postseason success. I don't really care about that. I know he's a very good quarterback. Unleash him, and I think the Chargers will be an even better team than they currently are. The Packers, no.
I just think the Packers need an X factor. They need someone to step up, and that could be Golden, that could be Love, that could be any one of the receivers even. But I just think they're a really well built team that's really coached, and they're really well coached, and they're greater than some of their parts. But to get to the Super Bowl, one of their players just needs to step up, be that top 5 in their position, be that X factor, be that game changer that I don't quite think they have on their team that they have shown. But I do think they just need a breakout candidate for the year.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that's what we were saying about the Packers before the draft, is that they don't have a dude on defense, they don't have a dude on offense. Like, I think for me, the dude on the Packers team is Matt LaFleur. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. Like, his offensive system had Malik Willis looking like a decent NFL quarterback. Jordan Love is, I think, with how the Packers have played their offense, that they're a very run-heavy team on first down. They don't really trust Jordan Love to throw and not turn the ball over and not make a mind-numbingly stupid decision, which he has that kind of Jameis Winston streak to him in that regard, Jordan Love. Like, it's always kind of like battling his inner demons about not throwing a crazy interception. The defense is good. The offense is very good. Golden could be that guy. He could unlock the deep ball, could take the offense to the next level, but really, they just kind of need Matt LaFleur to guide a very strong overall team with very few weaknesses to a ring. And I think Matt LaFleur is the type of head coach that could do that. The Commanders. You start with this one, Liam.
I think the Commanders obviously, overperformed our expectations. Me and you were quite low on Jane Daniels going into the year, and he proved us wrong, made the NFC Championship game. But the thing that can hold the Commanders back is just off the field issues. They're in a terrible stadium. They're not paying their players. Terry McLaurin's requested the trade. I think the Commanders are on a really strong trajectory, but they just need to iron out the kinks and anything that distracts from the on-field product, which I think is a very high level and also very young with a lot of potential.
See, I've gone for the Commanders needing to avoid the potential regression that they are facing. They won 9 one-score games last year. 9. Like, I don't think their team was actually that strong on the whole. I think they caught a very gracious end of a high variance kind of football team. Like, they caught lightning in a bottle with Jaden Daniels, who, yes, had a fantastic rookie season. I'm not taking that away from him in the slightest. But they did get very lucky with the ultimate record they had, I think. And when they came up against the Eagles, they, got bounced. And as did the Chiefs, don't get me wrong, the Eagles are a fantastic team, but I think the Commanders are in line for some potential regression here. Not because they've gotten worse or because their players will even play worse, just because the dice rolls will inevitably not always go their way. Winning 9 one-score games is crazy in the NFL, and they did really well to avoid the Cliff Kingsbury's offensive cliff that often happens later in the season. Jaden Daniels might not have a sophomore slump, but I think we still need to see a few more things from the Commanders before we can really say that they are really on their Super Bowl trajectory. I agree with you that they've got their young quarterback, Jaden Daniels, absolutely looks like the guy, but we thought the same with CJ Stroud, and he had a big sophomore slump. So it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility whereby the Commanders go through regression despite being a very similar football team, and maybe not even a worse football team. They just don't get the dice rolls that go their way, really. And if they want to win the Super Bowl, they need to avoid that. They need to basically be lucky again for the Commanders. The Bengals, we've touched on them a little bit already with their kind of weaknesses and why I think they'll go to the Super Bowl, but I think we might have the same one here. It's the big 3. They've got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. How far can those 3 players at only 2 positions carry you? How far can they carry in January and February? I think the Bengals really need something from their offensive line or from their defense. They need someone else apart from those 3 guys to do something. And, maybe it's Trey Hendrickson, maybe it is Shamar Stewart. I think it's unlikely that Shamar Stewart does much, if anything. But something needs to happen whereby it's not just Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow. I think it's you can't win with 3 players at 2 positions, no matter how good those 3 players are.
They just need 100. They just need richer owners. They literally couldn't afford to pay their first-round pick. Can't afford to pay Trey Hendrickson because I believe for guaranteed contracts you have to put the money in an escrow account before.
Yeah, escrow. Yeah,
and they literally can't do that. And just don't own an NFL team if you can't afford to pay the players. I think it's absolutely ridiculous the treatment they're giving their players. And yeah, you're right. They've sunk so much capital into 2 positions. Admittedly, those are very high-level players. You could argue that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are both the best quarterback and receiver in the league. Definitely Jamar Chase. And yeah, all they just need to do is they need to click. But I think to get to the Super Bowl, they just need more money. They need an image. They need to best their image. If you're a free agent, why are you going to Cincinnati? You're not going to get treated well. They're not going to pay you. So I think the Bengals are a very good team, but I just really am worried about their ownership.
Yeah, I like that one. That's a good one. That's creative. I agree with you. Ownership is the root of a lot of problems for NFL teams, but specifically with the Bengals, definitely in their cash depletion reserves. The 49ers. I've said that. Go on,
you go first. You go first.
So I've said no. So I've said basically it is business as usual for the 49ers. Last year for them was a total blip. I think they were the opposite of the Commanders. They got a lot of unluckiness, really. They had last year, Christian McCaffrey missed 12 games, Elijah Mitchell missed the whole season, Brandon Ayuk missed 10 games, Ricky Pearsall missed 6 games after being shot before the season could even start. George Kittle missed 3 games. All of those guys are coming back healthy to a degree. You could argue that Christian McCaffrey might lose a step. Ayuk might not be there for the start of the season. But simply not having your best, 6, 7 players be injured is absolutely massive for a football team. You've still got Kyle Shanahan, you've still got Brock Purdy, a very good head coach and quarterback combo. You've got Robert Saleh back with the defense now to bring that back to kind of how we usually see the 49ers defenses be. They are a great team. I just think they caught a really bad end of the stick last year, and it would be shocking if that were to happen again.
Yeah, I do think their Super Bowl window is completely closed. I really don't.
No.
I understand that they had to play Brock Purdy, who was previously earning the pennies. Yeah, literally comparatively less than a weekly salary of one of these big time quarterbacks is now on $50 million a year. So That is difficult, but I still think the talent is there, and you're so right. They got so unlucky with injuries. I think Robert Saleh is an unbelievable DC. I think he got treated very harshly in New York. So I think, yeah, it all just has to click. Just a bit of luck can be on their side, and I think they can make a really deep run.
Nice. I agree with you. The 49ers are dangerous. Do not think they are going to be like they were last year, because they're almost definitely not going to be. The Rams.
I was hoping you could sort of explain the Rams to me, because I just don't understand them as a team, because I can't give them reasons to win. I can't give them reasons to lose. But I still think they're really just well coached. I think Matt Stafford's a very good quarterback. But I don't know. I think there's something missing there. But what do you think? Because the Rams, I really couldn't think of one.
So I'm so high on the Rams this year. I think they have all the pieces necessary. They've got Matthew Stafford. They've got Sean McVay. That's one of the stronger head coach quarterback duos in the league. I think Stafford is so underrated even at 37 years old. McVay's got a great offensive system that, you know, his hairdresser is probably an OC now for some team in the NFL. You got Puka Nacua, 7th best wide receiver in the league for me. Great offensive fit. He'll be a lead blocker. He can separate. He can run after the catch. You got Devontae Adams, great compliment, great separator even at his old age. Added Terrence Ferguson in the draft. They got Kyron Williams at running back, who they just paid. For me, they tick every box. They've got Jared Verse on defense. Like, what I don't see a real weakness on the Rams team apart from maybe their linebackers. But for the most part, I think they're a really good team, a fantastic offense, and I think this team could absolutely be elite. Really, it's the fact that they could win a Super Bowl because they have all the necessary pieces: head coach, quarterback, offense, weapons, star defensive player. It's all there.
Yeah. Well, and so done with the Chiefs. What is your reason for the Chiefs?
2 reasons, 4 words: Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. Oh, what are we doing here? Like, you know, the idea that Patrick Mahomes is now no longer the best quarterback in the league simply because he hasn't had the kind of best like stats or box score production is bonkers. Like, this guy is so talented. The reason, like, defenses are doing all they can to make sure that Patrick Mahomes doesn't just tear them apart in a single quarter. Like, the defensive coverages and trends have literally changed because of Patrick Mahomes, the ability to hit the deep ball. Like, he is and forever will be the QB1 in the league. I don't care what happens. Like, his ceiling, his floor every year really is the AFC Championship game, which he has never not made and never lost. I'm pretty certain if I've got that right.
He lost to Joe Burrow.
Lost once. Yeah. Yes, he did lose once. So he's made it every single year of his career to make the AFC Championship game every year as a starter. What are we doing? Like, it's those two guys. They're always going to be competitive. You could put it's like the Zinedine Zidane thing. Like, give me Zidane and 10 planks of wood and I win you the Champions League.
Yeah.
Give me Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and 23 pieces of wood and I win you the Super Bowl.
I completely agree. I hate this being like Mahomes not the best not the best quarterback in the league. Tom Brady only won 3 MVPs in his career. It's MVPs is a single season thing. It does not show who actually is the best overall quarterback. It is Mahomes and will always be Mahomes. And once you've got the best quarterback, you're always in for a shot at the Super Bowl.
Exactly. The Detroit Lions. I'm shocked they're this high, to be honest. But go on.
Same. Yeah, no, I think they've obviously lost a lot of coaching power, which I think was the big reason why they were so good. But the reason why I think they can is because Jared Goff can be an MVP candidate. I really think he can be.
Oh, God, that's a bit rich for my blood.
I know, but he was on track for it. I remember until about week 8, it was him and Baker who are Better's favourites. I still think he's a game manager, but the squad around him hasn't gotten that much worse. I know Frank Ragnar's retired, the offensive line's a bit depleted, and their coaches are gone. But I still think the core is there.
It's quite a lot there, dude.
It is quite a lot. Them at 29 is pretty high, but we're being positive here, Dom. And I still think with a quarterback receiver, Jahmyr Gibbs, who I think will be fantasy first overall pick, I do think they've still got a high-powered offense.
They do, right? And Jared Goff, I think I underrated previously. Like, he's a very good game manager quarterback, but I think that really the reason why the Lions can win the Super Bowl, or how they could win the Super Bowl, is if Dan Campbell hires well and they reload and they steady the ship. Because losing Ben Johnson, I think Jared Goff is a good quarterback, but I think he is a quarterback that is as good as his offensive coordinator, understandably. Right? He doesn't have the physical tools. He's not got a killer arm. He's not a Josh Allen one-man army. Like, he needs someone like Ben Johnson, and that loss is massive. I think, like, the loss of Ben Johnson, the loss of Aaron Glenn, the loss of Kevin Zeitler, the loss of Frank Reich now, that's a problem. If the offense doesn't regress too hard, I think it's going to regress inevitably. You can't replace Ben Johnson, surely. But the defense will be fine with Aiden Hutchinson. They've got loads of injuries coming back. They got really unlucky on that side of the ball injury-wise last year. The Lions still have an elite culture, elite mentality. Like Dan Campbell, it lives and dies by him, as good as his coordinators are. If he can just hire an offensive coordinator that can just give a decent offense, then the Lions will be a good team. They will be, and they could win the Super Bowl. So it's about reloading after losing the coordinators. I agree. Final three then, the Bills.
Bills, reigning MVP, Josh Allen, clutch in the playoffs, wins games by himself, with his arms, with his legs. It's really, I still think they've got a bit of a weak receiver core, but I think Josh Allen, similar to Mahomes, you're always in with a shout.
Yeah, I've gone with, much like I've said with the Chiefs, I've got two people, four words. I've said Josh Allen and Joe Brady. I think Josh Allen is elite, the best quarterback in the league in terms of being able to single-handedly put an entire offense on your back. You can be a rushing threat, elite rushing threat, be an elite passing threat as well. He can just do it all. There are multiple games in a season every year for him where he just goes nuclear, puts up 700 yards in 2 games, 9 combined touchdowns. He's that kind of guy. Joe Brady is an offensive play caller at the top of his game. He was, and I think it's going to be the last year that he is the offensive coordinator in Buffalo. I'm quite surprised that he's not even been swept up as a head coaching candidate yet. He was the man behind the curtain of the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Natty year. So, it's those two guys. You're set offensively, and that's how you can win the Super Bowl. Because if you're the Bills, it's the Josh Allen show every single year. The help he gets from anyone else is fairly minimal. So it's going to be that guy. Penultimately, the Baltimore Ravens.
With these last few, it's easy to say why they can't than why they should. With the Ravens...
Yeah, that's so true.
With the Ravens... Well, yeah, why wouldn't the Ravens? They've got Lamar Jackson. They've got an elite run game, elite defense. I think they're always sort of cutting edge in terms of defensive schemes, offensive schemes. They're always a step ahead of the league, in my opinion. Mm. And the reason it's shocking to me that they haven't made a Super Bowl yet. Yeah. To be honest with you, their team's not got any worse. If anything, it's got better. They're so good at drafting.
Have they made an NFC Championship game?
I don't think so.
We'll get Paddy to fact check it. We'll get Paddy to fact check it. But I don't know if they have.
I don't know if they have either. Lamar's obviously got a rough playoff record, but I think that's... Again, I think that's a bit of a social media narrative. I don't think... It's so difficult to say why the Ravens should, because I could list all 56 players on their roster plus their coaches, to be honest with you. Mm. So, well, Dom, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, you're right. It is easier to say why they wouldn't than why they would. I've just said they've got Lamar Jackson and the best overall offense in the league. I think the Eagles, we'll talk about them in just a second. I think they're the best overall team. But I think the Ravens have the best overall offense because they have Lamar Jackson. He's the best rushing threat from the quarterback position. I think he's the best dual threat quarterback ever. More so than Cam Newton, more so than the Michael Vick. I think he's that good. I think he's elite. The offense is so good. It's run first. They come out in 22 personnel with Patrick Ricard and Derrick Henry and Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. They'll run you over. They'll pass over the top. The Baltimore Ravens at the moment, I think, will be my pick for the Super Bowl winner. I would say. I think they're just so good, and it's time. Frankly, it is time for Lamar to get a ring. He is that good. And last but certainly not least, the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I said, my reason is they are the most talented team offensively and defensively in the league. Howie Roseman has assembled what can only be described as an Avengers-level threat for the NFL, really. Just the talent, wherever you look, is top 5, every position group, maybe even higher than that if you're breaking it down. Barring quarterback, offensive line number 1, wide receivers definitely top 2 with the Bengals maybe. Running back Saquon Barkley has got to be up there. Defensive line definitely. Corners, linebacker. There's no weakness on this team, and it's just about them recreating what they were able to do last year, really.
Yeah, the Eagles are so well built, it actually angers me. Because they're almost the opposite of the Bengals. They've got an amazing offensive and defensive line, draft incredibly well, and they've still got Devonta Smith and AJ Brown.
I know.
They obviously it makes sense. They are the Super Bowl favorites. Absolutely blew out the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and there's no reason why they couldn't do it again. Their team hasn't got any worse. There's been very little staff changeover. I know Kellen Moore left, but I really think this team is the odds-on favorite to repeat for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, definitely. So those are reasons why all 32 NFL teams can make the Super Bowl. If we have missed out a reason that you think is a real reason why a certain team can make it, let us know in the comments. Remember to leave a like, make sure you subscribe for more NFL content. But I've been your host, Dom Corbs. That's my co-host, Nick Corbs. Good grief. I've been your host, Dom Corbs. That's my co-host, Nick Corbs. We've been Corbs NFL. We'll see you on the next video.
See ya.